Resolution number 263-23, be it resolved that the meeting be convened at 7 p.m. with Mayor Ray Muirhead in the chair. And this meeting is being recorded for our website. Moved by
Mike.
Seconded by.
Yep.
All in favor? That is carried. Is it recording now?
Yes.
Okay.
It is.
We'll have a roll call. Muirhead present. Kalinowicz present. Anderson present. Hudak present. And Downing present. We have adoption of agenda, resolution number 274-23, be it resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting of December 12th, 2023 be adopted as circulated. Moved by.
Bill.
Seconded by.
Mike.
Any additions or deletions? I don't think there are. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We have adoption of minutes. We have resolution number 275-23. Be it resolved that the minutes for the regular meeting of November 14th and the joint committee meeting of November 27th be adopted as circulated. Moved by.
So moved.
Seconded.
Mike.
Any errors or omissions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We'll go to finance and accounts. A, we have the ACAO report. I think you should have all read it.
Yeah.
Any questions, comments, concerns? Straightforward. Okay. We will go to financials. We have a resolution number 276-23. Be it resolved that the financial statements for November 2023 and bank reconciliation for October and November 2023 be approved as recommended by the Finance Committee. Moved by
Mike. Oh, sorry.
Mike, seconded by Bill. Any questions, comments? Went through it. It looks fairly straightforward to me.
I went through all the checks, everything's okay there.
We're good. Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We have resolution number 277-23, be it resolved that the accounts check number 14609 to check number 14688 totaling $250,984.46 and direct withdrawals of $85,112.68 be approved for payment as recommended by the Finance Committee. Moved by.
Bill.
Seconded by.
Seconded.
Comments, questions, concerns? Everything's good? All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We have C, interim operating budget. I'll read this resolution. Resolution number 278-23, whereas in accordance with section 163 of the Municipal Act, the Council of the Town of Carberry has made an interim operating budget for all operating and capital expenditures for the town for the period of January 1st, 2024 until the adoption of the 2024 financial plan. Now therefore be it resolved that the following interim operating budget be adopted. General Government Services, $300,000. Protective Services, $100,000. Transportation Services, $220,000. Environmental Health Services, $100,000. Public Health and Welfare Services, $10,000. Environmental Development Services, $10,000. Economic Development, $50,000. Recreation and Cultural Services, $160,000. Fiscal Services, $200,000. Moved by.
Mike.
Seconded by.
Bill.
Any questions, comments? This is fairly straightforward stuff. Before we have a budget, we have to do this kind of housekeeping, so no questions. Good forward, go. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We did public hearings now, or we got time? Or?
Yeah, 7:04 right now, so go ahead.
Okay, public hearings, bylaw 6/2023, operation of community recreation services. We have a resolution number 279-23. Whereas section 3181 of the Municipal Act requires that council hold a public hearing in respect to a special service. Therefore, be it resolved that the regular meeting of council be adjourned for the purpose of a public hearing regarding bylaw 6/2023. Moved by.
Mike.
Seconded by.
Yep.
All in favor? Opposed, that is carried.
So for the special service for operation of community recreation services. It was discussed at your last meeting to sort of carry on the same increases as we've done in the past. For operation of our rec facilities, parks, future rec reserves, anything like that. We didn't receive any opposition or comments at all, no feedback in the office. No one here is wanting to speak about that. So at this point, we have no opposition to the bylaw as written.
Okay. Any questions, concerns around the table? Straightforward. Okay, I will read this resolution, number 280-23, be it resolved that the public hearing regarding bylaw 6-2023 be adjourned and the regular meeting of council resume. Moved by
Mike.
seconded by
Bill.
all those in favor. Opposed, that is carried.
I'll get Rachel, she's here.
Yeah, we're gonna stay.
Put myself in the next meeting.
I can go 3 days and that's it.
Yeah, I think I'm Monday flight.
Hello, Rachel.
Hey, everybody,
How are you?
Rachel.
pretty good, how are you?
Good.
Wow,
Glitch.
sounds like they're reading it.
There it is.
All right, Paul, if you wanna pull up to the table.
Welcome to council.
Thank you.
We'll go around quickly if we'll do introductions, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm Ray Muirhead, Mayor of the town of Carberry.
Mike Sudak, counselor.
Nice to meet you.
Bill Calmuch, counselor.
John Anderson.
Ethan Downey, youth counselor.
I'm John, getting recorded.
What's your name, sir?
John McNeely.
Okay, right, nice to meet you.
Can we
Hey,
let him know we did that?
Yeah,
And you're Paul?
yeah, sorry, Paul Zacharias,
Okay, pleased to meet you.
Yeah.
The floor is yours. I guess for presentations, we have 15 minutes, so.
Okay, yeah, so just a little bit of background, we're a modular home builder out of New Paltz, Manitoba. I just partnered up with a company there called This and That. We're rebranding under a new company called Dream Concepts. So my background is capital raising for senior housing across Western Canada, but in that I've also sold tiny homes into BC with a factory out of Alberta. So that's kind of like previous history. Recently I've become a realtor and have been thinking about strategies, how to create affordable housing developments with a high-end housing product. So I've married up with This and That out in Ipawa. They had started building modular homes about 3-4 years ago, had built a few, kind of got their feet wet, got their certification in place. We since have partnered up my strategies with him as well. So now we're looking for communities where we can develop affordable communities under a different strategy that really hasn't been done before. And a lot of the communities I go to, we're essentially creating a whole new, there's similarities to a mobile home park, but we're actually creating a whole new sector, so to speak. So our goals are to create modular home parks instead of mobile home parks. Now, the misconception is everybody says modulars, mobile homes, they actually are not, they're only, there's similarities, but they are actually different. In a lot of ways, the fact is that our modular homes, we put them on screw piles. Screw piles are technically declared a permanent foundation, but allows people the flexibility to mortgage the product without owning the land, and they could take their home in the future if they wanted. But for the meantime, it is designated as a permanent foundation. Along that way of thoughts, we've been approaching communities across Western Canada, Saskatchewan, Manitoba. We have some in Alberta we're in talks with. Along with that, we have approached health authorities, and in that health authority stream with nursing housing in the north, we're in talks right now with the health authority on that front. We created a tiny 3-suite modular, which I don't know, might be on the screen above me right now, I'm not sure, but
I had the duplex up there, but I'll find it.
oh, okay. With the three unit modular unit, it creates a tiny apartment essentially. So the size that you're going to see, we're gonna go make it a little bit bigger, but we're gonna be targeting that 300 to 350 square foot per unit type of thing. The way we build our product is very energy efficient. It's very high end in the sense of that. But we're gonna be allowing people to rent in that, $650 to $750 a month range plus utilities. But due to the fact that our walls are R29, the way we're building it is very energy efficient. People's utility costs and operating costs are gonna be very low for these types of units. So our goal is to buy infill lots. Or buy lots with old houses that can be torn down. And so I've identified 2 lots right now. I believe the address is 412 Main Street. Which is Melinda Bromley's vacant lot that she has.
Yeah.
And then the house right beside, I've made a deal with that landowner right now. I believe his name's Daniel Rutz or Roots.
Yeah.
And we've made a deal with him now as well. To buy his property with Miranda's together, giving us 150-foot frontage with 125 feet. Tear down that house eventually. And we want to build up to 30 to 35 units on those 2 lots together with our models. And so how we're doing our models is they're gonna be row housing. Oh, that's the duplex, okay. They're gonna be row housing that we can just keep adding on. But we're gonna be kind of, as you're facing the lots, we're gonna be putting rows down with parking and then more rows and then parking and more rows, etc.
Okay.
And it'll be kind of that's kind of the approach. So I guess the reason we're meeting is because we're working with CMHC directly on special financing for affordable housing. And so we want to offer affordability, but we need towns to revisit some bylaws, work with us on some approvals that may look a little different. But we're in an economy right now that looks different. Not everybody can afford $400,000 anymore. So in our modular housing developments, like not even these tiny apartments, but our modular housing developments where we have 800 to 1,000 square foot units, people can buy a brand new home, really high end home for 200 grand, 205 grand, appliances included, setup, foundation, everything from us. Right. So we're trying to bring affordability back with a unique structure, but bring dignity back to affordability and not have people living in trash. So this is our 3-unit mod right now. And we're gonna make the units a little bit bigger, but you have a kitchenette. So you have a fridge, a kitchenette, and a desk, and a full bathroom. And then we have just a single bed, so it's more of a bachelor suite. So we're gonna be offering that at around $700 a month.
And how many square feet are these each?
We're gonna make it look 300 to 350. This right now is 200,
Right.
but we're gonna beef it up to about 300 to 350. I had a call with CMHC today. And they said if we're gonna qualify for their program that they wanna put us into, they need to see at least 300 to 350s. Right. Yeah,
So this is to rent or to buy?
to rent.
To rent.
So
So
we all,
something you're doing, I'm sorry to butt in, but some of these you're doing, are they rentals and some purchase, like a venture?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
so this is gonna be just strictly rent.
Yeah.
The duplexes, I'm in talks with CMHC. I did want to just rent some, but then sell some.
Yeah.
But because they said it might be easier just to own it all and not sell them.
Right.
But if there's future land that you guys have available, we can create a modular home park, which is essentially just like a development. It's just that people don't own the land. And then we create a lease for them, an affordable lease. That they don't pay any upfront money for the land, they're just paying a monthly rent of $200 or $300.
That would be similar to Monterey Estates.
Yeah, 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 so the beauty about our product is that there's nothing special about it. But with some of the towns that we've met, we've actually come up with a whole new model, and the model is simple, it's because the land isn't being subdivided, the land tax stays the same, so you actually keep your tax low on the land. And then the people get a tax bill for the modular unit per year, plus they pay a lot rent.
Right.
But the beauty of that model is that they're not paying for the land now, so their tax on the house is lower.
Yeah.
And so everybody actually saves on the tax structure. And then the people have like, because the one community, we were dealing with Neepawa, and I asked them to do an assessment, like, okay, if we have 1,000 square foot unit, what's that person's tax going to be? They came back at, it was gonna be like $1,000 a year.
Right.
So now people can buy a brand new home for 210 grand, appliances included, and now their tax bill is gonna be $1,000 and they have a monthly rent. Yes, it's, it's a little bit more, but they also have a maintenance-free home.
Right.
And they don't have maintenance costs, so we're trying to find a strategy that hits all the targets. And so we have two strategies. We have the modular home park, which as of right now, we don't have any land in Carberry that suits that, which it doesn't mean to say it won't happen. That's one strategy. The other strategy is the tiny apartments, which we're here today because, we're dealing with lots that are infill. Are we looking at getting approvals for that many units on a residential lot, right? That's the other thing. And then the other aspect is the duplexes, which are larger units, a little bit higher rents.
Yeah.
And, so I think that's kind of everything. So, any questions, feel free to.
Good.
So the smaller units that you're talking about on Main Street, you said there could be up to 30 units, right?
Yeah, so I did some site plans and I feel like I can fit around 30 to 35 units on there.
And so they'd be in rows
Yeah.
facing the street.
No, there'll be rows facing each other. So as you're facing the street, you'll just see rows going down to the back of the lot.
Okay,
People will pull in on angles
yeah,
for parking.
Similar to what's in Neepawa out by the golf course, like that, or?
It could be like that. It'll just be single level though.
Yeah.
Do you have a rendering on the outside or no?
No, the one you sent was just 2 floor plans, I think, is what you gave me.
Oh, okay.
Thought it something rendering.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, it's just that.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, there's a rendering for the 3 unit, but it's just a single level product, yeah. That will put on screw piles, so.
So, do you have anything, Mike, or? John?
So when you're talking their rent on their house, $1,000, you guys still own the land and they're paying lot fees? Is that how that works?
Lot of $1,000, what's $1,000?
You were talking about people buying this house and then they would do once a year pay taxes, you said it would be $1,000.
Well, that one community we were talking to, that was what was gonna be there, yeah,
But,
Yeah.
so what I'm saying is you guys still own the land,
correct,
so you still pay rent or tax on the land,
correct.
okay, and they pay a lot fee like a trailer park.
Yeah.
Okay,
But because the land isn't being subdivided, there's no reason to tax the land on a subdivision because it's not a subdivision.
yeah,
Yeah, so as long as the communities are on board, my light bulb went off when Neepawa had told me that, because I said, what's my land tax? They said, well, it actually doesn't change. And I said, after I build 20 homes, my land tax doesn't change. And they said, no, because we haven't subdivided it.
Right.
So that's when the light bulb went off. And I said, okay, so these people can buy a home. Yeah, they don't own the lot, but they just saved $150,000 on a home price for the same type of home. And their taxes are a third than if they were to buy a $350,000 home.
Yeah, but if we have a 30 unit thing with 30 residents, 30 people using the bathroom, 30 people driving around, they're all using the same thing as everybody else in town, but that one lot's only gonna make tax revenue of, let's say, $1,000.
No, so that's a different story. Those tiny apartments, I have a budget, like I have a very healthy budget of tax, because we're paying tax on everything.
Yeah,
Nobody's buying those units. That's just strictly rental. So I'm already budgeting that. I don't know what my taxes are gonna be, but I'm budgeting, I'm probably gonna be paying $20,000-$30,000 in taxes a year, is my guess.
So that one, that would be assessed differently than the modular park that he's talking, like
Yeah.
a small 30, if there's say 30 units on this.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of
Property,
asking
right.
about, right? Yeah.
Then it would be just like a multi-family.
Yeah, it's just-
Okay,
Yeah, so you'd
that's
still-
my question.
Yeah,
I
you
just
tax
fixed
like
that, yeah.
apartments more than.
Yeah, cause I was just, in my head, I'm just kind of like, well, it's one tax and there's 30 people. I'm like,
No, that's
what
that's a different strategy.
Okay,
This,
okay.
this is just strictly multi-residential. We own it, we're gonna pay tax on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I was referring to is the modular home park model that allows us to do a full-on development that people can buy 1,000 square foot home.
Right,
Yeah, that's.
okay,
Yeah.
I was like, I was kind of,
Yeah,
that's what I was
That's,
asking. right?
that's
'Cause I'm kinda like,
separate, yeah, so there's kind of two or three different models that
Right.
we've created for affordability, so.
So if I can ask a question, you're done.
yeah,
So let's use this three plex, if you wanna call it, the three square foot each, give or take.
Yeah.
So I rent one of those and you say the rent's gonna be 700 a month-ish.
Yeah.
So then I have to pay lot rent on top of that.
No, this is just rent.
That's just 700 and that's it.
This tiny apartment thing is just a rent.
Okay.
Nobody owns anything.
the lot fee would be for like, you buy the modular
That's
home
right.
and then they just rent the land out.
That's right, that's a separate model.
I got it now.
Yeah.
Okay, there's
Yeah.
different models. Okay.
Yeah,
Just making sure so my wires don't get crossed.
yeah, so I know Rachel has talked about, creating different bylaws to actually fit what we're trying to do on that duplex, because the land that David Mans owns across from Dave or Ramsey there. Or
Mhm. Yeah.
we're looking at buying that to create a duplex development to keep going with what they've done, but because we're building it out of modular, we have a CSA serial number attached to each side. So people could actually technically mortgage half a duplex without even owning the land. So now people could buy a brand new home for 170 grand.
Can these, do these, I guess more Rachel, like these, modular homes, can they go into like, let's say Market Street or Barron Bay technically then?
So
Cause we just had that problem, remember?
yeah, so these are modules.
Yeah.
So this is a modular style house. So we've got just the one location in Carberry now that is considered a mobile home park.
Yeah.
And that's the only location that we restrict the type of developments.
Yeah.
Right down to mobile. So we allow modular in the residential zone without differentiating between stick frame and a modular home.
Yeah, so my question is just the modular homes, like on Market Street, because they have a CSA number. And they go
So-
on Market Street.
So the CSA for a mobile home is completely different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright,
So,
Two different standards.
no, I just didn't know
Yeah.
if there was like, you know what I mean, like almost like a
For sure.
loophole sort of
It's-
thing.
Yeah, apples and oranges,
Right.
they're both fruits, but they're different categories to be put them in.
so a mobile home has a CSA number of 240. The modules that we're building, well, we build mobile homes as well.
Yeah,
But the modules that we're building under is a CSA 8277, which is the highest standard.
Okay.
And that is classified as a mod, not a mobile.
okay,
So if you were to do a duplex in a modular style, like what you said, and you can sell each one of them individually, does that not kind of overlap on condominium?
It's
After.
really no different than the duplexes that we've done in town where
Okay.
we've created the fire separation down the middle. And then had the ability to sell them
So
off.
you don't have to condominiumize them, I guess, if that's a word.
So we've done that in the past. Now, with that being said, we don't have anywhere in the bylaw for something like the modular home park. We would have to open up the zoning bylaw and amend it to allow for that, but it would really be no different than how we've established the mobile home park. So that if that is the route that is taken further down the road, obviously we've got some paperwork to deal with, but to put in a triplex of a modular home style would be no different than any other triplex we've got in town.
So then, if you're gonna do this and you have various locations around town that you're looking for info, let's just say the one that's up north that you talked about, Miranda's and Daniels.
Yeah.
And then you find one somewhere across town, do we have to do a rezoning for each one of those lots as they come up?
As long as they're a triplex or a duplex, or we have multifamily.
Yeah.
In those areas, so as long as the design intent is to keep them for rental purposes. Or to split them and have them sold off in a similar fashion to the duplexes that we have now. No, if we're going to be establishing a mobile or modular home park, then
Right.
yes, we would have to rezone it. So in this case where you've got the man's property, we would look to rezone that.
Right,
And we would amend the text in the zoning bylaw and a map change at the same time, and we would basically open up the mobile home zone and create a mobile and modular home zone. But when we're talking about just the triplexes, now 30 units on one piece of property, that could be a little interesting, but not necessarily from the zoning bylaw, more from the building code aspects.
Right.
Just
Okay.
with spatial separation and limiting distance and that sort of thing.
Well, I mean, I think we all know around the table on various surveys we put out is affordable housing is right up there. People want affordable housing, need affordable housing, but this is a way to do it. It's interesting.
Yeah, no, we're getting the attention of the government right now, just on the fact that how quick we can produce units and the price point, plus we're hitting energy, we're above the energy code.
Yeah.
Like we're blowing the energy code out of the water with how we build it, so not only are they getting an energy efficient product, they're getting it at an affordable price.
Right.
With high-end finishing, like it's custom cabinetry, it's vaulted ceilings, tongue and groove pine ceiling, like it's just as nice as probably anybody's home, right?
Yeah.
So that's
No,
the,
I've been in some of the ones in Monterey Estates, and I mean, they're older now, but they're still nice. There's nothing wrong with them.
yeah, like we have a show home in Nipawin. If you ever guys wanted to come up and take a peek, you're more than welcome to.
Is it out by this and that?
Yeah, right in front, right beside the co-op gas bar there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. We might have a look at that sometime.
So these have a crawl space on it?
No, well, we can put on a crawl space, we could put on the basement even, it doesn't matter, like under the modular zoning, like we could put a hole in the floor. Build a basement and put it on there if you wanted, that's not an issue, it's totally allowed and everything's good, but. The units we're doing for the affordability is we just do everything encapsulated floor. So our floors are spray foamed, like
Okay.
shut, and we spray foam the walls and then we spray foam the attic. So that's what allows us to have a vaulted ceiling in our units. Because we don't need an attic now because we spray foam it, right? So,
So do you build all these in Nipawin?
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, well, they started, and what happened was when I partnered up with them 4 months ago. Like I had 1,000 home sales in BC when I was selling in BC out of our factory in Alberta. And we were building, the reason I partnered with these guys is because Rob, the owner of this and that, was building to the same standard we were building in Alberta. But we were selling in BC for $350,000 for a 700 square foot tiny home. So I had 1,000 of those lined up to go out, but then our partner who ran the factory died with COVID and then everything got shut down. So I came back to Manitoba and I was like, I need to find somebody that builds the same quality we were doing out there.
Yeah.
That's when I came across Rob and he builds to the same quality, but his price point is like 150 grand cheaper. Like it's unbelievable. So we're hitting a very tight price point, but stay with the high quality. And that's why everybody we talk to, they just couldn't believe our pricing. You know, the community I'm dealing with in Alberta, like we're talking, their starter home pricing is $395. I'm coming to town at $255. And they're just like, how are you doing this? And it doesn't matter how we're doing it, we're doing it.
Yeah.
And we're exceeding the codes. And so that's why we're getting such a good reception everywhere, because the quality is so high at a fraction of the cost.
So you say you've got one bill, a show home one at Nipawin by this and
Well,
that?
we've built 10 already and we've sold them. It's just that, yeah, our showroom is still sitting there. Yeah.
What's the chances of taking a picture of it and sending it to Grady so we can all have a look? Would that be possible?
Well, I could send you our brochure, our video brochure, and you see the whole inside and outside.
Absolutely. If you would, that'd be nice.
Yeah, be interesting to see.
Yeah. So yeah, I honestly, the only reason I brought up the tiny apartments is because we're dealing with health authority for nursing housing in the
Right.
north. And
Yeah.
and I just thought, I wonder if towns would accept a tiny apartment, because a lot of people, their minimum square footage is 800.
Yeah.
So they don't even let you walk in the door. So,
Well, from an affordability standpoint, I mean, that's a big thing, affordable housing. And the way of thinking has changed to what it used to be. I mean, now, well, you know yourself, a standard house, where do you find a standard house now? Even a fixer upper for less than 250, 300. So I've noticed in Brandon and other places, that's what people on fixed budgets, fixed incomes, seniors, whatever, they'll take a smaller place if it's affordable. I mean, just look at the homelessness right now in Brandon, Winnipeg, and it's not getting any better.
No, actually, it's funny you bring that up because we're actually in talks with a non-for-profit in Winnipeg right now to set up homelessness little pods.
Yeah, I think
So-
I've
so-
read about that.
So we're working with them right now to use this threeplex model and maybe even shrinking it down even further. Maybe it's 150 square feet where it's just a little bedroom and a bathroom for the night type of thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're excited, like we're checking all the boxes and we're not cutting corners, so. I mean, that's why I think we're getting a lot of attention and we're excited for that, because we're actually providing a solution to a problem that nobody really seems to want to address, like they don't really want to solve it, right? And we want to solve it, so we're,
What, it's okay, where would we go from here? What do? We wait for you to buy a lot and?
no, so here's the thing, like, we can buy lots all day long, it doesn't help us anything, because with CMHC, the approval process for these programs, they told me today it's about 4 to 6 months.
Right,
So we need to lock up lots under contract. We need to have approvals from the town, because I have to submit your approval to the government so that they approve the structure that we're doing. So as soon as I have approvals from you and I can lock up the land, which the land I locked up today, so we should be okay there. But I need an approval letter from you guys that you're approving, multi-units on a single lot. And once I have that, I submit all that paperwork into the government, and then they get back to me with their, it takes about, they said 1 month to 4 months for approval, so.
well, go ahead.
So does any of this qualify for the federal housing accelerator fund money?
Well. I don't really say this without exposing all my cards, I guess, but.
Just
No.
yes or no?
No, not really,
Okay.
like, they're in talks with us on the accelerator fund. So I had a discussion with CMC on that. And they just said, at the end of the day, they just said, like. If we see that you're working in communities and the communities are working with you, then we need a track record of that. So what they said to me was, get 1 or 2 of these developments done.
Mhm.
And then come back to us for the third, and then that third one unlocks another level of working together with the government. And what that means, though, this is where I need to, if I have a second to speak on this. The more aggressive you guys are on tax breaks, and I'm not asking for tax breaks, like, well, we're fine with the numbers.
Right.
But what happens is, if I can show the government that you guys are partnering with us on tax breaks or different or creative structures to cut our costs to develop, it unlocks a bunch of funding from the federal government that allows us to now pump into here. So the more you guys work with us, the more we can pump into Carberry. And that's about as plainly as I can say it, I think, but.
So I can't remember if you said this or not, is there other communities that you've done this in before, or? is
No,
this-
you're the first, like, I'm traveling, like, I had meetings in Saskatchewan, I've had meetings in Alberta.
Okay.
We're building on Vancouver, I'm in talks with a developer on Vancouver Island right now. Cause they can't touch our pricing out there either, cause the labor's high, right, so.
Okay.
So yeah, no, we just launched, the reason that. We did have a tiny factory, but we've actually shut it down and we're actually building a brand new factory right now. It's going in behind Rocky Mountain, so if you guys drive there, you'll see a bunch of walls standing.
Okay,
So that's where our new factory's going.
Okay.
And so from now until our factory opens, which will be mid-January to beginning of February. I'm going around, we're locking up land in multiple communities. So we just locked up land south of Winnipeg. We got some communities there that we're doing developments. We're doing some high-end stuff in Kenora, but that's not affordable. That's a different stream altogether.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'm just hitting the road, and whoever wants to play ball with us, that's what we're looking for. So.
okay. So. Then I guess. We'll talk about this and. I don't know what else to ask here, so. You need from us a letter of approval, you say, or?
Well, just approval of, like, if we submit a site plan for these 2 lots, and let's say we have 25 to 30 units on there. Are we getting that approved? Because I need to know that, because I'm ready to submit my information to the government. And I need to have your approval in place. If I don't, then those applications just go by the wayside.
For me, I just need to see like what you're, like you said, a plan before, you know, an approval, right?
Yeah.
And so, which is fair, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
So
don't argue with that, yeah.
I'm not, opposed to bringing affordable housing and stuff into town just to be due diligence a little bit before a letter, I'd just, you know, site planner, like what, like. Just like any other development, like what are you doing, right?
Yeah.
But like for me, affordable housing and stuff, I'm all on board.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, I am too, but like I agree with you, you know, we need to see a plan and be, you know, we'd be remiss and irresponsible, we didn't see. What we were agreeing to kind of thing, so.
No, I agree with you. And this is where Rachel, like the plans are very simple. It's a matter of what are our side setbacks, what's our front setbacks?
Yeah.
And how much space do you need between, like how much space do you need between units for parking and driveways?
Yeah.
And if I know what that is, then yeah, we can give you a site plan. So it's very simple. The lot's 150 wide, those two lots together. What I've been doing is I've been doing 7 feet from the side and then a 12 or 13 foot wide width unit. And then I'm budgeting around 20 to 25 feet space for parking in between. And then the next row of mods is 2 back to back. So now you're 24 wide.
Right.
On those, right? So anything in the middle of the lot is 24 with 20 to 25 feet of parking in between.
So. Dumb question, but I'll ask it anyway, these are all fire code compliant, you know, and all that, no problems there, just asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you said you had the CSA designation.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be building these under the CSA 277.
So I think, just to sort of sum it up and, basically what you need tonight would be sort of an understanding if there's a willingness to entertain it, then you can come back and we can work the three of us together
Yeah.
to come up with what we need to do from a zoning perspective
And setbacks.
and from variations if there's setback needs, and then that would come back to council to look at it from more of a formal standpoint.
Yeah, and if it's okay with you guys, is there a way, like I know in some communities, they'll just, once we have our stuff sorted out, you guys can sort it out through email, or does it have to go to a full-on meeting?
For some stuff, it would have to go, like for zoning changes or variations or anything, there's a process that we have to go through for notification for neighbors and stuff like that, so. There,
So we're talking like 2 months before we have a letter.
depending on what we need to do from a zoning perspective, right, if it's, and Rachel, you can speak to that.
Yeah, so as of right now, when it comes to multifamily, we actually drop it down to 400 square feet. So 350 isn't too far off our number, but we do have an allotment in the new zoning bylaw for tiny homes themselves. The only thing I'm concerned with is we do have a requirement for standards for lot coverage. And I'd have to sit down and calculate out how much lot you're actually planning on covering with your larger units. That could be something that we have to address at the same time. And we would do, if we could, a variation order to cover everything all at the same time.
Right.
But like generally speaking, when we have more than a triplex or a fourplex, we would ask for a concept layout just of the overall plan. And then we would work from there with setback requirements and everything like that. So.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, exactly. And all I was getting at is that these units are very basic and simple.
For sure.
It's just very straight down the lot. Just spaces for parking, that's kind of the goal of it, so, but.
Yeah, one of the things that we typically do with multi units where we have multiple structures on the site is we actually issue it up to the fire department as well. Depending on their fire apparatus length, the turnarounds and that sort of thing, so that would be something we definitely want to look at, knowing that we're gonna have parking spaces, but we're also gonna have back-to-back units, in that space. Lots of the bigger lots, less of the concern, because we know we can get vehicles in and out.
Yeah, that's a
The
difference.
tighter lots are a little bit more that we have to get more people involved, but.
Yeah, and to be honest, we don't have to do it on these lots, like, if there's other land that's more open, I mean, we're all game, right? It's not. But yeah, no, we're just trying to provide something for the infill lots to
For sure.
to clear them up, right, so.
You haven't designed anything that's more than one story.
Well, I'm pushing for it. My partner isn't super excited about it yet because there's a lot of engineering that goes into that. And we'd rather just kind of get going on the single level stuff in about 12 months. And once we have our kind of our 12 months of just building single level stuff, then we'll dump the money into the engineering that goes into that. And we'll start building 2-3 story stuff.
Anybody got anything else?
No, I think that's all I have, you know?
So where do we go from here, Grady? We'll,
Yeah, Rachel and Paul and I will work together to
okay,
put something together to present to council. And then once we figure out what exactly we're gonna need to do, that'll sort of dictate a timeline and, you know, it could be up to 2 months if there's bylaw requirements, but if it's variations and stuff like that, it's a little bit quicker, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, what I'm gonna propose is that, we basically sit down and we do draft a letter, because it's all laid out in the zoning bylaw that tiny homes are permitted with council discretion. Multi-unit is permitted under council discretion, so obviously without having a lot specific location, it's a little bit harder to grant approvals, but it is laid out fairly easily in our zoning bylaw or your zoning bylaw to allow for these type of developments. So even just a standard boilerplate letter, this is in the zoning bylaw, we do allow these. Obviously, we need a location before we can be more specific with the approvals, but, and there's a process, right? So at least, going forward, Paul's got a chance to actually prove that he's met with the community, he's looked at, we've kind of talked about zoning and that sort of thing, and we can kind of keep the whole process moving, so.
okay. All right, well, you,
I do have one more question. You're aware here that each house has its own well system? This, we don't have town water.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So what I've been doing, like, we're doing a development up in Clear Lake, and what we're doing there is we're doing like one well services multiple units.
Okay.
I think we could do something like that here, could we not?
Yeah, to do a submersible well,
Yeah,
you could do that for sure. Yeah.
like do submersible underneath that services, like say 5 units or a single row or
Yeah.
something, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, no, that's, I mean, we love being creative, and the more we can be creative with towns, and yeah, we're all in, so.
It's just like a hotel or a motel.
Yeah.
Same idea.
So then we write a letter saying we're in favor, provided that all the X's can get crossed. Is what you're saying.
Yeah, basically that, from what we've got in the zoning bylaw and how we, the things we've put out in place to plan for these developments. As long as, X, Y, and Z is met. And I've got a kind of a list of general requirements that we would need in order to proceed with the permitting process. As long as we hit all those boxes, that there isn't a reason why we couldn't proceed with these type of developments, because we do specifically talk in the tiny homes area about tiny home developments.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what this is, right? So.
Okay, let's do it.
all right, nothing else from you, Paul, or?
No, I just want to make it clear, like, I know this isn't your problem, but I just like to make it clear, like, we're for sure 6 months from the time we get that letter, so that's just the timing of it, so.
All right, thank you very much for coming out.
Yeah.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Paul. See ya.
Rachel, you're on for the next one, cannabis retail and MG zone. You got 3 minutes.
So, just wanted to keep everyone in the loop of what's going on. So we have had an application to amend the zoning bylaw to allow for cannabis retail establishment within the industrial zone, which is the MG zone. It's not currently in there. We allowed for cannabis manufacturing and cannabis processing. We didn't allow for retail. With the nuances of having a new zoning bylaw and making sure we've got all the documents associated to that. We haven't actually had this hit your table yet. It is coming your way. So this is, again, it's until we get the application, like it's in the office right now. But until we get it back from the province, because the province has to review zoning bylaw amendments. I don't want to go into too much detail, just because it's not technically public record yet. But again, it is coming your way. And it will be, again, a zoning bylaw amendment to open up that industrial zone.
So you're just giving us a heads up then?
You betcha, yeah, just in case, again, the application came in early November, and in case the applicant does start to question why we haven't seen anything move yet, again, it's with the new zoning bylaw, we have to make sure all the documents are in place before we can start to amend it, so we just want to make
Sounds
sure
good.
everything's up and ready to go.
So you have any questions on that or no?
Yeah, we never planned for the retail sale in that zone, so again, manufacturing, industrial, we kind of put in the industrial aspects of the cannabis uses, so a little surprised to see retail in that space, but knowing the blended areas in Carberry, I'm not surprised. So we'll deal with that when it comes, but again, until it's back from the community planners, I don't really wanna throw it out on the table just yet.
Okay, good. That's it. That's it for Rachel.
Yeah, unless there's anything else going on, I'm working on a couple different things for policy wise, one is tiny homes. One is secondary suites and one is a fence, so we'll get those out to you so that we can look at them in January and get them established so that we can better enforce. So going back to the previous discussion there, what I'll do is I've listed out at least 6 things that I would like to see, as an agreement between the applicant and the town, and obviously Greg and I will kind of get some stuff organized for that. Other than a concept plan, is there anything else council would like to see? Especially on that multi-unit, that's the one I'm actually concerned with, not necessarily from a layout perspective, but more from a building code perspective. I'm not sure if you're all aware, but as of January 1st, we're in the 2020 building code, so there's a whole kind of learning curve now with the new building codes, and I just want to make sure that we've got adequate protections and that sort of thing, especially when we start cramming a lot of units into one space, because that always makes me a little bit nervous, but.
My question is, you as a development officer that deal with this all the time, what are we missing? What should we be asking? I know we asked, it's gotta be code compliant, which
You betcha.
says fine, fire code, setback compliances, the whole bit. It's fairly straightforward. Bill had a good point about the well servicing how many units. Mike, yeah, with, the multiples, so what are we missing? Is there anything we should be asking?
Not really, so again, the things I would like to ask for is concept plan, general layout, of how we're proposing to put these units on the lot. Obviously, there has to be some sort of developers agreement between the town and the applicant. Now, with him proposing not to create a road between the groupings of units. I'm not sure how that plays out again with obviously you want to talk to them about maintenance, snow removal, that sort of stuff, and what is being covered there. And then some sort of service agreement. So if you're gonna have 30 units in there, but they're not actually, is he covering the costing of sewer, fire protection, maintenance and that sort of thing with his taxes? Is he how is that breaking out? And then again, the lot coverage and the square footage itself, because again, we go down to 400 square feet is our bare minimum. So if he's only 350, it's a variation order attached to it. There's a variation order that is potentially attached to these, the setbacks. I'm also a little concerned because the building code has very strict requirements about buildings facing streets. And when you don't face the street, what your fire protection looks like. And generally speaking, anything over 4 units is fire protection, fire alarm system, the possibility of sprinklers. So I'm interested to see how they're working with that, and knowing it's not been done yet. There is some concerns there.
There's the aesthetics too of the area.
You betcha.
It's gotta fit in, it's gotta look good.
Yeah,
We just don't want, barracks for lack of a better way.
For sure,
of putting it.
yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
Like, as a kid growing up, in the city, I seen more like townhomes that way, whether it was one place to park, but you kind of walk through little alleyways and stuff, and the homes never even had a parking spot, there was no parking spot or nothing, but it was all low. It was low income homes, right? So again, like you said, in an area, if you got neighbors and church or whatever,
Yeah,
that's all, you just gotta, when we do a plan or we bring something in, we gotta make sure we think of the future, right? What it's gonna look like in 30 years.
30 units means 30 possible vehicles.
oh, for sure. Well, and there has to be an appropriate amount of parking as
Yeah.
well as visitor parking, and it can't be on-street parking, it has to be on-site parking.
Yeah.
And then again, that's where all this service agreement stuff comes into play, is someone maintaining this parking lot, where are they putting the snow, because there's a lot of parking.
For example, where we grew up in Rexdale, our townhouse had a little garage and a place you park. But then all the homes that were kind of those alleyways and walkways, the backyard was actually on top of the parking garage for those people. They parked in the parking garage.
Yeah.
Kind of weird, but that's how they made it fit in the city, right? But that's Rexdale, downtown Toronto, right? So.
Oh,
The parking spaces where I asked if they're thinking two-story at
You
some point.
betcha, yeah,
That would give you more
yeah.
yard area.
Again, and I brought up the lot coverage because as soon as they pave it, that's considered lot development and lot coverage. So he might not hit the requirement for concern when it comes to the actual unit lot coverage, but as soon as you start paving it, it brings everything into play. So we really need a concept plan and it's really easy to say, okay, look, you know, we've allotted for it in the zoning bylaw and it is technically, you know, with council discretion, it would be a use that we would allow in it. You know, here are the requirements, you know, and he could take that, you know, to whoever he wanted to, CMHC or whoever, but until there's a concept plan for a lot specific, you really can't give many approvals. Like it would be no different than making a judgment call on a public hearing that's had no public hearing.
Yeah, like for example, like one thing I think about, there's that many, that's why I asked, so there's that many cars, there's no parking lot, no parking.
Yeah.
You know, where does everyone plug in their car,
For sure.
right? And
Yeah.
so if they park on the street. Then the snowplows gonna come down the street and stuff, and there's wires like, you know,
You
like
betcha.
you see it in Brandon all the time, stuff, it's just, those are the small things we gotta think about when we do. That's why I said, like, before I give a letter, even to say a support, I wanna see kind of your plan a little bit.
and you have to stop and think about affordable. There's a couple of different definitions of affordable. I mean, I've heard before 700, but then you can't control what the insurance is. You know what the insurance companies are doing nowadays. So now 700 becomes. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, there's lots of moving parts and again, having it work in the zoning bylaw is one thing, have it work in a specific lot is another thing. And the man's lot to me seems like a perfect location. It's a wide open lot that they can do a lot with. The infill lots is where I get a little concerned. I don't wanna see, I'll be honest, I don't wanna see 30 units on the Main Street lot. I think that would be really tight. I can't imagine trying to get a fire truck in between those two buildings.
Yeah.
You know, again, you guys can string a lot of hose line, there's lots of things you can do. But there are very strict requirements from the building code about how we place buildings. And again, if council would like to proceed in that direction, I'm all for it. I will definitely work the zoning bylaw the way it's written to help with that, but you infill lots are great when they're properly infilled.
Yeah.
When we put too much into one spot, it could be a concern.
Yeah.
And again, when we start stacking them, that's an even bigger concern. Not that the modular units aren't technically designed for that. There is more engineering that goes into them, but they are built to a factory standard. And there's a lot we can do with them. And it's one of the reasons why we pulled it out of the mobile homes originally, because we didn't want to treat them like we treat mobile homes.
Yeah, all right, we're moving on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else for planning?
I haven't got anything. You got anything?
Nice and quiet. Perfect.
Yeah. Thanks for coming
You
up.
guys do it.
All right,
We'll chat. Okay.
You betcha.
drive safely. Let's move on to bylaws. We have resolution number 281-23, be it resolved that the bylaws 6-2023, the town of Carberry operation of community rec services bylaw hereby be read a first time and be referred to council. Moved by. Seconded by.
Bill.
So this is first reading. We're all aware of what this is about. Any comments? Nothing. Okay, all in favor? Opposed, that is carried. We have unfinished business. Resolutions from the joint meeting, so hire P&R working foreman, resolution number 282-23. Be it resolved that the joint committee hire Craig Dirksen as the Parks and Recreation working foreman as of December 11th, 2023, and terms be set out in the employment agreement. And further be it resolved that those costs be shared 50-50 between the municipality of North Cypress, Langford, and the town of Carberry. Moved by
Bill.
Bill, seconded by Johnny. Any comments, concerns? I met Craig today, seems like a good guy, hopefully he's a good fit. So, hearing nothing, all those in favor? Opposed, that is carried. We have resolution number 283-23, be it resolved that the joint committee increase Sylvia Swanepoel's wage to $24.44 per hour and wages be backdated to the first pay period of 2023. And further be it resolved, the cost be shared 50-50 between the municipality of North Cypress Langford and the town of Carberry. Moved by Johnny, seconded by Mike. Comments?
Yeah,
Johnny.
So we're going back to like January of 2023. Like it says.
That's correct, yeah, she was missed on the increases for this year.
Okay, so what percentage is that?
Uh,
Is that like a decent wage? Is that, I don't know what you.
it was the same increase that everyone else got.
Okay,
Yeah,
and so are we talking another one in January of 2024 then?
it will be, we're gonna add her into the Parks and Rec agreement so that this doesn't keep happening.
Okay.
So she'll be part of
So
that
we're not gonna
agreement.
go in December of 2024 and say we want to give her a
No.
raise. Okay,
It'll be
Just
part of
wanted to make
the,
sure.
part of the agreement that's gonna be coming forward right away here,
Okay.
so. yeah.
We've had this before with another. I guess, we would say employee, but yeah, employee, where we got missed sort of over a couple of years. Right, so at least now they're starting to get caught and put into the agreement, so then that way they're never missed, which. I like.
good idea.
Anybody else? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed, that is carried. We have transfer station RFP update. Want me to speak to that?
Sure.
So we had a meeting the other day with the CAO and Callie, CAO of Army North Cypress Langford, with Callie, and we had myself. And we went through all of the tenders. We chose Terry Dixon. He had about the best one. It was the most comprehensive. He included a lot more. And the other one that put the tender in was an hour late. So we gotta take that into consideration. We have an expiry time and date when you put a tender in. If you go past that, you're setting yourself up for
Disqualification.
Yeah. So anyways, we are recommending here and probably to the joint council that Terry Dixon get the tender. He had the best one. And he will be ready to start in spring. And he subcontracts to Sand Hills, electrical, mechanical. And that's where we're at. Anybody got any questions on that?
Nope, nice to see something out there finally.
So that's straightforward. Okay, former town shop property update.
Yeah, the hydro got hooked up last week again. Heat's running in the two hoarded areas, and as far as I know, everything's keeping up just the way it should, so.
Okay.
I've seen the guys go in there periodically through the week and always check, so that's awesome too, so.
Any questions on that? Straightforward. 2024 summer students.
So this discussion was had at the joint meeting as well, just to bring everybody up to speed. We're gonna be looking at a few additional summer students this year and advertising sooner. So we wait until grant approvals come through, but we discussed it and feel the best thing to do is to advertise early, hire early, and if we get the grants, that's great, which we usually get some, but we'll just make sure that we have enough students to get all the work done throughout the summer. So
We're looking at the possibility of probably taking back over the Royals Diamond, so that's gonna be an increase along with the rest of the ball.
Can I just add one thing to the student? I'm advertising for students and, yeah, okay, you can't have like 400, but getting a lot of students to work in town, I'd like to see that more than not, because it keeps more younger people in town, and that's what we've talked about before, right? Is people, then they go get jobs outside in Brandon or wherever, and then they end up going to school and staying, right, and leaving. So the sooner we can get jobs out and keep people in town and, or coming back at least for the summertime and whatever, I'd like to see that more.
I agree.
Yeah.
the recommendation from departments, it looks like we could be looking upwards of 8 students, so. So 8, yeah.
Wow.
You know, a lot of stuff. I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen with that campground. It looks like they're going to town with that. So if we get grass growing there, I don't know where
Little
we'll,
soccer field,
yeah.
dog stations,
Yeah.
if we take over the baseball diamonds again, Public Works always takes a few to cut
Yeah.
the lawns and stuff, you know, it adds up, eh?
No, that's
So-
good. Okay, joint services agreement.
Does this, I'm just gonna ask, does it involve my wife? Because if
No.
it does, okay,
No.
I was making sure, that's all.
So this is just the document that we've been trying to settle, that sort of outlines how we're operating everything jointly and the costs associated. It's with NCL right now. They were supposed to have a follow-up meeting soon to sort of finalize their things, and then it would come back to us. So we're just
Get it
waiting
by
on.
February?
it's,
I think I can speak to a little bit more on this in our in-camera portion, so.
so that's, just so everybody's aware where that's at.
726 Fourth Avenue.
I was hoping to have an update back from legal on this one, nothing yet, so I don't have too much more to update, but I'll be following up this week with, legal on that.
Yeah.
We're on it though, like pretty much if someone asks us about it or whatever, that we're
Yeah.
going through the motions to get it cleaned up.
Drainage fixes that burned out a lot.
Yeah.
Main Street paving, don't we talk to them about that one?
Sure.
Okay, so I was gonna bring this up around the table and I'll still bring a portion of it, but when we, Bill and I went to the AMM convention. We presented the Minister of Manitoba Transportation and Infrastructure with the petitions. I also brought up about Main Street paving, what our situation was with us paying, wanting. Basically, what they said to us is don't get your hopes up. And what I said back to them, well, we were in talks with the lawyers, so I mean, we're not letting this go. We're not leaving $175,000 on the table. So the deputy minister did more speaking on it than the actual minister. Was good about it, but I mean, I understand where they're at. They're just a freshly newly elected government. They're not gonna commit to anything, but I raised the issue of what we're up against, so he took down notes and he's gonna be getting back to us, and we requested also that they show up at a meeting so we can physically tell them what we're up against. So that's where that's at. Okay. Waste and recycling RFP.
Yeah, the current contract is coming up, at the end of January. The RFP should be issued this week for our new, contract.
That's it for that. We'll go to general business and we have AMM Fall Convention highlights. You want me here to?
Well, we met with Rob Canoe one day, attended a bunch of sessions that went on. One in particular was about multimedia or multi-material management system, like your recycling. That's going to be changing slightly within the next 3 years. We will be either opting out of the program and have somebody else collect it, or stay with the program we're on. So it could change somewhat.
So if I can just give a quick. We met with Minister of Transport, MTI, like I just said, we went through all that. We also presented her with the petitions for the number 1 and 5 highway intersection. Plus the email for the online petition, and plus the petition for reducing the speed limit coming into town by Artsier Park. So she got all that. The other thing about the convention, it was your typical workshops and that sort of thing. We met with Wob Canoe. He came, give his opening speech to the 800 or 900 delegates, however many were there. Scott Phillips, he's with the RM of Sifton. He organized a meet and greet with Wob Canoe with some mayors and reeves in a kind of a more private setting.
Yeah.
So we went up there. Just kind of broke in, we didn't, but we were welcome. So Wob Canoe was going around the room, working the room, shaking everybody's hand. It came to me and Bill. And he stopped, he shook our hands and he says, I'd like to talk to you after this meeting. And I said, sure. And he said, you got a couple of minutes? I said, I'll make a couple of minutes. So after the meeting, everybody rushed him. There was no time. So anyways, Bill and I, we just left. I thought I'll run into him again. He phoned me on the way home, Bill's truck. What he wants, and I don't know if this is for publication or whatever, it doesn't really matter, I don't think it's a big secret. He asked about what the fundraising update was with the Health Action Committee. So I told him, Health Action Committee they're the ones that are basically raising the funds. We have money in place in reserves and so on and so forth, but he was more interested in the fundraising for Health Action. And he asked if I could get a letter to him before he left on Thursday from town, the RM, and the Health Action Committee. I drafted one up, got it all signed, presented it to him, and he is looking at, now there's no guarantees, but he's looking at matching what the fundraising is at the Health Action.
I'm just
And as
wondering,
the letter, it was like $107,000. Now, whether or not it'll happen, if we don't get the whole amount, if we get some, whatever we get's better than what we had, so.
But I don't think we want to make this too public, just.
Well, it's not the end of the world if somebody knows. What's the worst thing, you know?
Well, we're video recorded, so.
That's fine. So, that was basically one of the highlights, and the other thing too, is when I presented him with the letter on Thursday morning, he still wants to get together with our council. And discuss further about the intersection 1 and 5, because we have the studies done. That's the other thing, the MTI told us the study's done, but it has to go in for review and then come back to us. And Wob would still like to have a sit down with us to discuss the results of it, so that's where that's at.
If we're gonna be in communications with him and he's gonna come out for that, would you ask if his health minister can come out with him as well, too?
Yeah.
Since those are the two big topics, right?
And the other thing I will say about the AMA convention, of all the ones I've been at, they seemed like they were the most sincere when they had the bear pit sessions with all the ministers. It was pretty down to earth and it wasn't a whole lot of double talk. They answered questions and said what needed to be said. So everybody in the room was pretty impressed with that, so.
Yeah, there's no evading the question. They answer the questions that were presented.
Anyways, that's all I got for AMM. And Bill, you're done?
Yep, I'm done.
Okay, all right, let's move to add AR invoices to taxes. So we have resolution number 284-23, be it resolved that council add the following invoices to taxes. Invoice number 2023-00166 in the amount of $31.50 plus interest to roll number 55500. Excuse me, invoice number 2023-00170 in the amount of $63 plus interest to roll 67700. Moved by.
Like,
Seconded by.
Yeah,
Straightforward. Question, all in favor? Opposed, that is carried. Okay, moving on, we've got a council resignation, so I'll read the resolution here. Resolution number 285-23, whereas section 104.1 of the Municipal Act states the resignation of a member must be in writing and given to the chief administrative officer. And whereas section 104.2 of the Municipal Act states a resignation is effective and a vacancy of the council occurs at the time the resignation is given to the chief administrative officer, despite any other date set out in the resignation, and the resignation may not thereafter be revoked. And whereas section 104.4 of the Municipal Act states the chief administrative officer must report a resignation at the first meeting of the council after the resignation is received. And whereas the letter of resignation was received by the chief administrative officer on December 4th, 2023, therefore be it resolved that council accept the resignation of Councillor Emma Denton effective December 4th, 2023 with regrets. Moved by.
yeah. John?
Whichever.
Second by Johnny. Now, comments, questions, concerns? Oh,
Is it confidential to why she resigned?
there were no reasons given.
Okay.
All those in favor? Opposed, that is carried. By election, we have a resolution number 286-23, whereas section 105.1 of the Municipal Act states in part, a council must hold a by-election to fill a vacancy on the council as soon as is reasonably possible. And whereas section 105.3 of the Municipal Act states the senior election official must hold a by-election when requested to do so by a council. The election day for the election must be as soon as reasonably practicable, but in fixing the day, the senior election official must consider A, voter participation, and B, availability of persons to serve as election officials and facilities to be used as voting places. Therefore, be it resolved that council direct the senior election official to hold a by-election as soon as reasonably possible. Moved by.
Mike,
Seconded by.
Yeah,
Questions, comments, concerns?
It's looking like end of February for by-election, around the 28th.
Yeah. All right, hearing nothing, all those in favor? Opposed, that is carried. Radio purchase. Resolution number 287-23, be it resolved that council purchase 3 portable radios with auxiliary microphones for the Public Works Department from Prairie Mobile Communications at a cost of $1,904.28, including taxes. Moved by
Aye.
Joni, seconded by Mike. All those in favor? All those that are carried. Emergency plan. We have resolution number 288-23, be it resolved that council adopt the 2024 emergency plan as updated by NEC Sudak. What's NEC again?
Municipal Emergency Coordinator.
Yeah, Municipal Emergency Coordinator Sudak. Moved by,
Bill,
seconded by.
Yep.
Any comments, concerns? We got that all sent out by Grady.
Yep.
I'm sure we read it from cover
I
to
read
cover.
a
all
third
us.
of it,
my
so
speech,
Good.
let's put mine.
There's a new format coming out next year too, so there'll be a bunch of changes coming in 2024 for that.
Okay. All those in favor? Opposed, that is carried. We have the Heritage Grant Replacement Program.
So this is just to bring it to the table. When we had to cancel the Heritage District bylaw last year. That in turn removed the Heritage grant that we had because it was tied to that bylaw. So we need to try and figure out what and if we're going to replace it with. So just bringing it forward to put it on your guys' radar to start thinking about it. There'll be certain criteria we have to meet from a municipal law perspective with how we can do that. So if you guys have some ideas, we can start looking into different ways to do that if you want to do it.
It's just sort of changing the name, Grady, because like
Well-
we had that heritage and the insurance, right? That was the problem with that.
Yeah,
Yeah, but there's restrictions on how we're able to give grants as well.
Right,
So
yeah.
there's some consideration needs to be given through to that as well.
Okay.
So something to start thinking about. If you have any ideas, send them my way and I could start researching on how that might look and how it might fit in with our requirements under the act.
Is this something further to what Mike said? I know it's not heritage, but if we just take it and rename it, that's still not gonna be adversely looked upon with insurance. It shouldn't be, but I'm just asking the question.
From what I understand of that situation, the sticky part of it was the heritage
Good.
tag, right? Because as soon as heritage is attached to it.
Yeah.
The cost to rebuild or restore in the event of some sort of loss, the costs go way up. So
what about some downtown revitalization, building revitalization grant or something?
yeah, there's ways to do it. I just, like I say, if there's things you want me to look into, send them my way, and then I'll do some research into how we might do that.
Okay, we can even just a suggestion or wherever we can brainstorm. And then when we have the next committee of the whole or something, bring them forward and then we'll just make a list.
Yeah, because it was being more and more utilized in the last couple of years. And a lot of the work that you see that's been done is due in part to that grant. So I think it's a valuable program to have offered
Yeah, I think
for
it is too.
to bring back some life down here. So
That's the one thing I always kind of hear from, people that are kind of thinking about doing something, even without even just coming to me, was like, oh, is there any grants that we can use to
Yeah.
fix up the front end or whatever, right? So.
Every little bit helps and. Okay.
Okay,
All right, let's move on to Advocacy Day. We have resolution number 289-23, be it resolved that council approve the attendance of EDO Bernie at the Manitoba Chamber Advocacy Days at the Manitoba Legislature, December 5th, 2023, with cost to include mileage. That was already done
Yeah.
10 days or so ago, so moved by,
Bill,
seconded by.
Yeah.
Not much to discuss, it's already passed. All those in favor? Opposed, that is carried. Meeting with MLA Byram.
yeah, so we're set up January 4th at 9:30 to meet with MLA Byram she just wants to do an introductory meeting and bring any issues forward that we might have. Obviously, she's gonna have an inside track being Minister Clark's constituency assistant. She understands where we're at in a lot of things, but formally introduce herself as the MLA and see what we need to work with her on.
Who's her assistant now? Do you know?
Sherry Francis, I think, is her last name.
Seen her at the AMN convention, but wasn't on the others.
Unfortunately, January 4th, I'll be at that exact time. On airplane.
There you go.
And
Oh my God.
All right, council committees. We have, and I think Grady sent these out. I'll read the resolution, we'll discuss it. Resolution number 290-23, be it resolved, the council make the following amendments to the council committee representatives. First one is finance, remove Councillor Denton and add Councillor.
I'm on it already.
I'm on it already. You're good, Johnny?
Yeah.
Okay,
actually, is just gonna ask, because I can't really be on personnel,
okay,
so are you on personnel?
Yeah, I think I'm on personnel already.
are you?
Because if I go on finance and it's,
I thought personnel was you and me and Councillor Denton before, wasn't it?
I think it was you and Johnny and Counselor Denton, but Bill's been filling in while Johnny's been.
Okay,
Okay,
so
well, put me on.
who we putting on finance?
I can.
And if you want Sudak,
Mike? Personnel, remove Councillor Denton and add Councillor. Okay, Bill?
Yep, thank you.
Bill. And just remember that this is all temporary until we get the new councillor in place, so. Evergreen, remove Councillor Denton and add Councillor. I'm already on Evergreen. I'm taking over from.
Well, I could stay on as alternate if you want. I'm familiar with what goes on there.
Are you good?
I was on it for years,
He
too.
was on it for years.
Take your pick.
Unless Mike wants.
He's more current than I am,
Okay,
so.
Bill, you're good with that?
Yeah. I can do that.
Arts, remove Councillor Denton and add Councillor.
I can do that one. I haven't done anything else.
You're good with that?
Yeah.
I'm on Andy Van.
Andy Van, remove Councillor Denton and add Councillor.
I could back up on that one. I've been on before.
Yeah, I'm usually at them.
So I'm on
Yeah.
finance, I'm on personnel, I'm on Evergreen. Arts, so, okay, where are we at here? Add who?
Cal.
Bill?
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you, guys.
I can do it all three.
All right, so that's moved by, did we move to that?
No,
Moved by,
Like,
seconded by,
Okay.
so everybody knows where we're at, so no questions, all those in favor? Opposed, that is carried. Flexibility plan update, resolution number 291-23, be it resolved, the council adopt the town of Carberry accessibility plan as presented, moved by,
like,
seconded by
Bill,
Bill. Any discussion, comments?
Go ahead, this is for the next one. I'm just getting ready.
All right, all those in favor? Opposed, that is carried. Next one is CMHA Tournament of Champions ad, resolution number 292-23, be it resolved that council support the Carberry Minor Hockey Tournament of Champions with an ad in the program at a value of.
So here's the options, business card size $50, half page 75, full page 150. And their programs are like a 8.5 by 11 folded in half, so a full page would give you about a half letter size.
It's so moved.
So how much,
Go with the
how
full
much?
page.
It's a full page.
That's the 150?
Yeah.
Good.
what goes? We're just gonna pick something like,
Yeah, we'll put our logo and stuff and we can put a message on there. There'll be room, we can put
Merry
everybody's
Christmas or
name.
whatever, and
Yeah, it's not till
Christmas
January.
and
So,
Best.
yeah, it's not till January, so
Oh, yeah, it's after.
it's the
Yeah.
January.
okay, I thought it was
5th to
for
8th.
next week.
No,
So I got a number here of 150, we're good with that?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna read this one more time quickly, resolution 292-23, be it resolved, the council support the minor hockey tournament of champions with an ad in the program at a value of $150, moved by,
Moved.
seconded by,
Bill,
all those in favor? Opposed, that is carried. North End trees.
yeah, so we have a bit of an issue.
Oh,
after we removed the trees,
They want them back.
now all of the roots are sprouting saplings all over yards, the dog park, the sign park. They're everywhere. There's some concern with them growing under houses and stuff like that. So I think what the plan is right now is in the springtime, the guys are gonna go drill into them and put in some glyphosate or some sort of product to try and kill what's left. The stumps have been ground already, but because the big trees are gone, all the little ones are growing out of the roots that are sprawling in that area. And it's littered with poplar saplings or aspen, whatever those things were. So you guys are aware now. We're gonna be working on it. So if anybody asks, that's sort of what the plan is right now. We're gonna try and do that. A couple people have said that they should just kind of go away on their own, but we all know how a poplar grows, right? They grow fast and then they die, but they're very yeah, they like to grow in all kinds of places. So we're gonna take a couple of steps to try and stop that from happening.
We wanna make sure we never ever plant anything like that again.
Correct, yeah,
Or we
so,
let other people plant that.
Yeah.
Ever again, should be in a development agreement.
Yeah.
And when they plant, canopy, should be a approved canopy, it's not something that's gonna be detrimental in the future.
yeah, so, and then when it comes to, when we get into budget discussions, we'll talk about what we're gonna replace them with and start doing that as well. I've got some pricing on some trees, Delta hackberries and that sort of thing. That are probably the better size for there and they last longer. They're not as fast growing, of course, but they're gonna last, and then we're keeping away from ash borers and Dutch elm and all of the diseases that we have a problem with, so.
I
just
have
to-
seen too, where if you plant it, sometimes the other trees kind of take whatever nutrients is left from that other tree and they just kind of rotate and they. die
Yeah, they
off.
can choke them all,
Yeah.
yeah.
Good. Yeah, looking at trees, we have reports. We have Ethan's got the youth council report for us.
So this last couple of week and this upcoming week are fairly packed. The band concert that we had went amazing and there was some high praise for it. There is a dance later this week on Thursday, and then on Friday we have a fun sort of activity planned. There's gonna be Family Feud between the teachers and students in the afternoon, which will be fun, and then there are 15 different planned activities for the students after the Family Feud is done. Next week, we have a Christmas themed Spirit Week. And on the 22nd, which will be the last day of classes for break, the 5s and 6s are going to Portage instead of the Sportsplex to go swimming for this year. And the 7 to 12s get the choice to either go to the Wildcats game, the hockey team game, which is in Carberry this year, or stay at the school for some planned activities. There are currently gym classes in use of the rink for bowling, curling and skating. The sports teams have been on a roll. 3 teams went to provincials and for volleyball. And the JV boys placed second and brought home a finalist banner. There was a home basketball tournament last weekend. And besides that, basketball's just getting into its works. Provincial grade 12 exams are coming up in early January. Those were discontinued. From what I can understand, they were discontinued in these last 2 years, but they brought them back.
What's that again?
The grade 12 provincial exam.
Oh, okay.
So they'll have English, pretty much English exam right when we get back, and then they'll have a math later in January. And then a little note to end it off, we're up to 316 population at the school, and it grew by about 20 students this year, and so far all of them have stayed.
Good stuff.
Oh,
That's everything for my report.
Thank you very much. Good report.
Any questions on that? No? Okay, good. CAO report. We've all read that, haven't we?
Any questions?
I haven't got it.
Good to be back.
Yeah, welcome back. Don't ever leave again. Public Works report. Nothing, questions, comments, pretty straightforward.
I don't have anything.
There was something on there I was gonna ask, and I can't remember for the life of me what it was. I don't remember what
I got one, well, it's not on the report, but just sort of we're on public works somewhere around the table, really. I just like to say good job to them on the float with the new loader, and then the lights for the bluest lights in town. Looks amazing for Christmas.
Just a question, are we gonna put some sand down? There's a couple of stop signs in town that are pretty treacherous.
Yeah, they sanded on Saturday and they sanded Monday again, so.
I came down, I took a drive before I came here, and I can't remember now, but I think one was on Fanny and I hit the brake, that went right through.
Because tomorrow it's supposed to be 3 degrees
Yeah,
and
now it's
4,
supposed to be
so
sunny and warm, hopefully
so
that
it'll
takes
just,
care of it.
it'll all just really wash away, but if there's
Yeah.
spots that are bad, then.
One thing I noticed when I was going across through the text the other day, must have been problems with the loader and fuses. Those fuses bought for the loader. Couldn't this thing be on warranty?
Could be for the New Holland, for the loader backhoe. They might have just had it listed as a loader. I don't know, I'd have to ask what they were for exactly, but that kind of stuff may not be depending on how it
I
happened.
thought it said case, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I'm just pretty sure that.
I can look into it.
Okay, I don't think I had anything. I read that and I lost it. Yeah. Okay, economic development report, that was fairly comprehensive. Any questions on that? Comments? We're good. Okay, we got committee reports, we got protective services. I read the fire department one. I don't know if there's any other. Any questions on that?
The ball was I don't even know how to describe it, a record success. We don't have final numbers yet, but it's significant how much money was raised.
Good.
Yeah.
My apologies for not showing up, but
And we did a presentation to Don Menzies virtually because he wasn't able to be there for his 46 years of service. He's retired. So,
Wow, it's a long time.
And 2024 will be the centennial, right?
125th anniversary of the Carberry North Cypress Langford Fire Department in 2024 . Yeah.
Really?
Bring back the horses and wagons.
And we've got the wagon. We just
We've got the wagon,
horse,
yeah.
They really do have a wagon.
Okay, that's it for that. Public Works, anything on Public Works?
Well, the guys are looking after the old town shop with the heater in it, and we're in negotiations right now. Which is, that's about all I have.
Okay. Buildings, I think the only thing I know on buildings, we had Fabian in at the old town office. And we got the furnace all fixed up. I think we talked about the building we wanna do out at the dump. I don't know if there's anything else.
Generator, got an update on that. They're just waiting on Hydro to provide some kind of information on what they need. So they still have to upgrade the gas meter and there was something else they were waiting on info from Hydro. So
And we thought that would have been looked into a long time ago.
I don't think anybody anticipated at the time when it was ordered that it would need a gas meter upgrade. I think this was a surprise to everybody from the sounds of it.
Let's get her done.
Waste management.
Well, the RFP was out for the building.
That's where they have us
and
talked
it's been
about.
chosen. Other than that, things looked good out there last Saturday when I was out.
I have had several people, several meaning more than two, concerned about these cats out there. They're still out there. There are, for lack of a better way of putting it, cat lovers in town, animal lovers or whatever, that are very disturbed by the cats. And again, for lack of a better way of putting it, the lack of care, if you will, and I don't know how to answer that. These cats are feral cats. They're black cats, and I think we've all seen, I don't know if you've been out there, but I've seen them the other day, one of them was out there. I don't know how to answer that. What do you do with a feral cat? Like this is a question. You catch a feral cat. I mean, you're not gonna rehome it to somebody because it can't be rehomed. What do you do with it?
I'll just, like, I can speak a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
So. Just like when we like. If a concern comes up, we can try to look at it, right?
Yeah.
But unfortunately with a dump, even with an open dump, even in dumpsters, you're gonna attract. Any sorts of animals, whether they're cats or deer or. Coyotes or whatever, right? You know what I mean? So for the dump itself, it's always had cats. I don't know why it's such a big. Issue now, like. I used to go there and crush the dumpster with the backhoe and 13 cats would come running out the dumpster. They're just living in the dumpster, eating whatever's in there, so. Other than, assuring people that maybe like, if we see kittens and stuff, we can. But there'll always be animals in there, whether they're cats or whether they're. Coyotes or fox or.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, and the other thing too, I think we put this on our social media page. We can't have people sneaking in the back way to feed these cats. And I know I've talked to some people, again, what do you do with a feral cat? So you send in the animal control officer. Is the cat put down? I don't know, they don't wanna hear that,
Well, I think there's an attempt
I
to,
don't know what the answer is.
put them into a rescue, which most of them are, no one's got it, the intake freeze in most of them right now. We have rehomed some of them. And I mean, I guess if people are willing to take them on, right, if they're worried about them and they're willing to take them on, then we could set up a list of people that are willing to take these cats, but they're down significantly in numbers that animal control.
Yeah.
From the RM, I believe, has been catching and taking them to their site.
Yeah,
But
yeah, I mean, I guess if there's farmers out there that want a mouser or a farm cat or whatever.
we've had a couple go to our farm and
Yeah.
they do their thing there.
Yeah, but I think if anybody's sneaking in there and gets caught, it's no different than someone sneaking in there to take garbage out or put garbage in or. And if they're feeding the cats, then they're just attracting more animals, making the problem worse.
Yeah.
So we went through the feral cat thing in town, not just with the dump, but like the same thing, people were just helping feed the poor kittens outside, and then it just, came to the point where you try to close your garage and there's 13 cats coming in and out of your garage, right? So.
Anyways, that was some of the concerns I had, so.
So obviously, the last resort is euthanization, but
Yeah.
I don't, to my knowledge, we haven't had to euthanize any.
No.
They've been taken by animal control or rehomed by people that have been able to catch them. They're difficult to catch because they're very feral.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to archives. We are having a meeting. I think that meeting's tonight. I'm missing it because I'm here. I have nothing to report because that's the first meeting I think archive is ever gonna have. So. Arts Council, I don't think there's anything to report on Arts Council. Haven't heard anything. They're having across the street at Callahan's right now as we speak, so.
There's been a number of programs and events going on and they're busy. So that's good.
Good. Cemetery. Anything, Bill?
Oh, sorry, before we go to cemetery, one thing did come up while I was in the office,
Yeah.
I don't know if. Whatever, doesn't matter, something
Okay.
came where someone brought up a program for arts and I was just ended up being the counselor standing in the front that day and. It was inclusive to a certain group of people. And only those group of people were gonna do this certain thing. And I gave them my opinion on it, and my opinion was, I'm just bringing it up to you guys, so that way I'm not. I hear, I said, that any programs put on by the town of Carberry and the ARP, like. Shared between the North Cypress Langford, are to include everybody.
Yeah.
In a program, if a if a certain demographic of people wanna have a program of their own, we have no problem with renting the space to them. But any program that's funded by the town of Carberry is inclusive to everybody, and everybody's welcome and invited. So I just thought I'd let you guys know that, cause it just so happened to come up with, some of them arts while I was standing in front, so.
Fair enough. Okay, you got anything on cemetery, Bill?
We have a meeting coming up this Thursday, budget time. The windmill is being restored as we speak. And, that's about it on that one.
Okay. Museum, anything on museum?
Hasn't been much lately. They had the Christmas party here a couple weeks ago, but that's the last I heard from anybody, so.
Yeah, and again, I'm just gonna bring it up every time we kind of talk about museum, was that, Fred Wells again asked me about that, and the other people that kind of stopped me even at the career symposium or whatever we had over there, about the trees again, because they're gonna put up that.
Oh, yeah.
So just again, I said every meeting, I told you, I promised them that I'd bring it up, that I'll always say something so we can keep it in mind for budgeting and stuff. about those
Taking them trees down on the west side, right?
Yes, yeah.
Well, trimming for sure, maybe.
Taking one down or whatever, but working with the museum on this, so I just wanna bring it up, and again, every time we have a meeting, I'm gonna bring it up
Yeah,
again,
it's been
okay?
brought to my
Yeah.
attention as well, Mike.
I'll put that on the joint agenda for January.
Yeah,
Handyman seniors.
Oh, the other thing on the museum too, I don't know if you wouldn't have known before the last meeting probably, but they got approved for that, CACF grant for that building, just under $18,000.
Which one's that again?
No, I remember I said they got the old fire truck, that's why they wanted the trees, cause they got that approved.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
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 So they're gonna be building that and it's going through or whatever, and they're looking at extending it and stuff later with more things, that's why they kind of want the
okay.
trees kind of either tidied up or maybe one a year moved or something, like, you know what I mean, so.
Handyman seniors, I think, we got the grant just come through for, what was it, 10,000 for now?
Yeah, that's the annual grant for the MDTP.
Yeah.
And I know there was something with the one van they were looking at or something, but it was the ramp that always, so they're looking at. Can't remember the exact words on it, but only the ramp and this one van only had that one ramp, so they're looking at this other sort of thing, so.
Okay. Library, anything on the library?
There's no meeting of the big library board this month. I think there's a local meeting. But I haven't heard from Loretta when it is, so I have nothing to report on that one yet.
Okay. Health action?
Yeah, I was at my first health action meeting for that one, it's pretty good, talked about a lot of things, and they're looking at, different ways for fundraising, so there's that. And, other than, being actively, going about the recruiting and stuff, which we've always talked about, they're working really hard to make sure that is done, and I think they're gonna be putting out another newsletter as well, too,
Yeah.
so they do need to be raising funds, and they're looking at a new way of fundraising. Without taking away from other sort of fundraisings in town, because everyone's kind of fundraising, they wanna do something special on their own, so wait to hear more in the future about that,
Right.
might be something really
So
exciting.
everybody's supposed to bring an idea to the next meeting and then we'll
Yep.
pick something that fits the bill.
Sounds good. Okay, thanks for that. Planning.
Well, I guess that's us. There's nothing exciting going on other than we will have something to talk about,
Yeah.
probably,
Yeah,
as of tonight.
planning, I think the last planning meeting was fairly uneventful.
Yeah, it wasn't long.
Rec board? Anything on the rec board?
That's you guys thought.
We haven't had a meeting since.
No, I haven't had a meeting since I went for Bill.
Yeah, so there's nothing to report.
Okay,
Okay. Whiteman,
Not much there either, just if you're looking for trees, get your application in by the end of the month, I think it is December 3rd. Application date for trees.
is it, so if you're looking for trees, is that farmers, is that town, is that anybody?
Shelter belt,
Shelter boat.
yeah, so that'd be. Let's say,
so would that, North End qualify for that or not?
I can ask.
Wouldn't hurt to try.
And American Drive.
And then, just so if we're asking about that, what about the wells, the shelter belt? Along the, not along the tracks, but off the tracks there as well. If we're gonna ask, right?
That's to be their responsibility though, right?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, that was in the development agreement. That,
Okay.
oh, like, it was in our development agreement.
Yeah, yeah, I was just making sure if we're asking, might as well.
Yeah.
Ask twice or.
Go ahead, Bill.
Boulevard trees, do we need any boulevard trees? But this wouldn't qualify.
No,
No.
Okay.
that's, when we have our budget discussion, that's one of the things we'll talk about.
Okay, good.
Okay. All right, we're done with that. We'll go to communications. Kelly Garnett, benches, recycling, canvassing. I didn't get communications on my package, I'm sorry to say.
I didn't either.
Oh, well, then.
You don't remember getting it,
No, I
but
didn't.
that doesn't mean I didn't.
Doesn't look like I included it. So let me grab that letter. The rest of them are pretty straightforward and I can send them out to you after, but this one I'll read out because it's a repair letter. So-
Yeah. So you know, this resolution was just, that's the one we already did. You can just cross it out.
We got
Just
the
resolution.
RCMP.
Yeah, that's the tournament of champions there. It's just, I guess it got somehow repeated or whatever.
We got the RCMP report. The document is there. I read that.
Sometimes if they go through, depending on your phone, if it's a PDF or whatever, sometimes it just doesn't even, you know, it just depends on your phone and what the computer's acting like that day, we had a problem with choice and where they coming.
Mine,
You're getting me and Kelly play all the time.
mine goes to the county.
Go ahead, Greg.
Okay, so this is addressed to the town of Carberry dated November 16th. So this is from Kelly Garnett. So benches, could you please have the snow removed from the benches this winter? I sit on every bench going from downtown to the hospital, including the one across from the hardware store and school. Thank you. Recycling, when it is snowing or raining, I don't like to put out the blue box for fear the contents will get wet. Greg says it doesn't matter as it all gets stored outside. I read somewhere that the town gets dinged if citizens use blue bags. So when the weather is bad, do I put out the recycling in the blue box, blue bag, or hold off to put it out another week? And door-to-door canvassing. During the summer, solicitors came by 4 times. One was a Filipino lady selling chocolate bars for flood relief in the Philippines. The Girl Guides, UNICEF. Finally, a Filipino man from Carberry came by with a license to sell chocolate bars to raise money to purchase a saxophone for his daughter. He had a $35 license from the town of Carberry. Says signed by me, probably by Trisha on my behalf. I had spoken to Terry Blair, who once had men come to his door asking for hundreds of dollars for the Humane Society. Terry made a telephone call to find out that the Humane Society had no such campaign. My question to you is, should everyone who comes to our door have a license? Should I be sending them away until they return with a license? Should we be educating the public to do the same? I have lived here since 1998, and this is the first time I have seen a license. I think it is a good thing to keep people honest and to pay the town of Carberry. You may quote any of this in the town council news. Please and thank you, signed Kelly Garnett.
She's got a point.
Yeah.
They should have a license.
Yes.
Shouldn't just come up to your door and start banging and wanting this, that, and the next thing.
They should have a license and it should be readily available to be viewed.
And that's more and more people are reaching out to us before they come to town, which is great. Sometimes we have no idea, so I think the right thing to do is if someone does come to anyone's door and we can share that if they aren't able to produce a town of Carberry business license, then they need to come send them down to our office to purchase one. They're cheap, $35 is all it costs, so.
And it's in the news all the time in the RCMP, even in the last thing about watching for scammers too, right? So. Like I know that I bumped into him coming in the office, the fellow that was selling the encyclopedias or something, wasn't it?
Oh, that was the textbook guy or
The
the.
Swedish guy or something like
Yeah,
that.
he came in here and
But he introduced
Yeah.
himself and he bought the license and then, you know, he went around and, like, he had his license, whatever, but he came to the office first before he even.
Well, at least they have a license, they've gone through the vetting and the scrutinization process, I mean, it's probably daunting for single older women or anybody, somebody banging at your door, they can be pretty demanding when they're there, so.
And just, I'll just say, like, if it's a group like the Girl Guides or something that's, you know, a youth group or whatever, I'm more than willing to like. You know, here is your license, to have them pay for like their license or whatever, if it's a youth group or something, but we can talk about that in the future, but.
So, when they come to get a license, is it just they walk in, $35, here's your license and that's it? Or is there criteria they have to abide by? Like, if you're gonna have a license to peddle stuff, sell stuff, knock on people's door, we don't want to give you a license here, go and calm the hell out of people, so to speak. I mean, they have to be courteous, you know, if the person's not interested, you know, don't play the persuasion game, walk away, that sort of thing. Like, is there criteria for that, or should there be?
That's something that we can do. We can develop a policy and
I think that's probably a good idea.
sort of a list of rules that we can have them sign. Saying some of those things exactly, right? If we don't allow pressure sales, you know, if someone asks you to leave or says no, then that's the answer, and we don't try and.
I think it's only fair, like if food trucks and stuff have to pay a fee, you know, to sell stuff on the street. If you're selling something door to door on the street, then we should be.
And that's, we have no problem doing that, we just, sometimes we don't know, right?
Right, exactly.
If they don't come to my door or any of your door, or nobody calls in and says, hey, like, I had this person at my door. You know, they need to come here and go through the proper procedure.
Yeah, we're not gonna stop everybody.
Go ahead, Bill.
Out of town tradespeople. So they should have licenses as well.
That's what it says on the sign coming into town.
It does, but I think if somebody's getting work done, they probably have a building permit that should be billed right then and there. If you're having people coming in to make sure that they know that the tradespeople have to come here, get a license if they don't have one.
You have something, John?
Yeah, I was just wondering, having the $35 license may batten up a camera. Is there any due diligence you can do to make sure that you're not giving somebody a license to rob and steal?
Well, that's the other thing I was thinking further to this policy we should create.
But you do-
On the flip side of that, if somebody, any one of us or any member of the town of Carberry, if they have a no solicitor sign on, that should be abided by. That should be part of the policy. If you go to someone's house and there's no soliciting, walk away, don't go in and bang on the door. So that's something we should think about. Yeah, we got.
Just the other thing on this, like this gang, you're not gonna, yeah, obviously you're not gonna stop everybody that's just gonna go and, you know what I mean? But like if someone is going around with a license and they are trying to scam. You know, one speed bump in the way that some paperwork with proof of ID and stuff to get your license, so that way if something does happen. You know, at least someone will say like, they got their license, the town's got their information, and what we have is only what we have, right? But at least we did something to try to protect people from.
You could get photo ID, something like that.
But they should be vetted here, you know, to prevent that scamming, because there's enough of it. I mean, there's online scamming and there's people going right to the doors. These guys and gals have more nerve than a short tooth, and they can come across pretty convincingly for some people.
Yeah, and that's something we can put in the policy too. We can say like if it's for a not-for-profit or a youth organization. But if it's like I've never heard of anyone going door to door to raise money for their own personal gain, right?
We have that
So
same person.
we can vet some of that out, right? To say, you know, if this is for personal gain, we're not gonna grant you a license, right? If it's not for profit. Church, youth, some sort of group, then that's one thing, but.
No, we should talk about that. She makes a good point on this when you think about it.
Yeah. As far as recycling the benches, I can address those ones. That's,
Yeah.
those are easy enough to do. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that misconception about the blue bags is still out there. That happened years ago, but that's not the case anymore. Like blue bags, clear bags are fine for recycling.
Yeah, just not black ones.
Right. They gotta be able to see what's in the bag.
Yeah.
So,
All right, that's it for communications for now.
yeah, I'll share everything. Yeah, most of it, a lot of it we've discussed already anyway, so.
All right, we'll move on to resolution number 2.
Sorry, and this resolution we already covered. I just, I guess I wanted to
Well,
make
that
sure
one
it was
too?
on there. 293 is out, so
Okay.
that one. And then it'll be 293 will be the next one.
So we're doing the strategic infrastructure funding?
Correct, yeah. The next two are good, they just the numbers will have changed.
All right, so we have resolution 293-23, be it resolved, the council approved the transfer of $139,388.15, the amount provided by the province of Manitoba for strategic infrastructure funding from the general operating account to the future capital infrastructure reserve, moved by,
Mike.
seconded by.
Yep.
Any questions, comments, straightforward?
Yeah, so the only thing, that money that was announced back in August, the additional funding, there is stipulations on that. Obviously, we're not gonna plan anything before the end of the year, so we're just gonna put it into our future infrastructure reserve, because that way we can use it for the proper thing next year.
Good. All right, all those in favor? Opposed, that is carried. We have the Rural Transit Solution Fund Agreement. We have Resolution 294-23. Be it resolved that the town of Carberry can confirm that it meets all the requirements of Canada/Rural Transit Solution Fund Agreement, and that the CAO and the mayor can be authorized to execute the agreement on behalf of the town of Carberry, moved by.
Well,
Seconded by.
Mike,
Any concerns?
This is the handyman grant.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed, that's carried. We are around the table. I guess I'm first. I was gonna bring everybody around the table up to speed on where we're at with the doctors. Is that, you think that's okay? Communications I've been having and stuff?
Sure.
Yeah. So anyways, as we're all aware, we've been meeting with Prairie Mountain Health several times throughout the year. We've met with government officials. We've met with one recruiting firm. We've had RFPs go out. I was talking to Lori Pakulak. She is a recruiting person in Brandon for Prairie Mountain Health. She's kind of the middle person. Somewhere along the line, she wanted me to contact doctors directly and establish a relationship. And then she would step back in when it comes time to recruit. So as it stands right now, first one we have is a doctor. His name is Dr. Tom Tennessee. He's from the UK. Him and I have been in constant contact for several weeks now. And I don't want to jinx it, but we are close in getting him, very close. He's very interested in Carberry. We've had a Zoom meeting with him. He is, this the old saying, he's checked all the boxes. He wants Carberry. He's coming for a site visit early January, which is good. So we will roll out the red carpets and have everything shining like a new dime for him. So that's where we're at with him. The second person I've been in contact with, his name is Ali Alizadeh, and we had him tonight. He was who we met earlier on. He is not a doctor, but he's getting real close to being one. So for future reference, future planning, he likes the community, so on and so forth. If we can make something happen with him down the road, great. I've been in talks with another doctor from the UK as well. His name is Dr. Riaz Ahmed. He's a doctor. He's coming over in January. This is separate to the first UK doctor. He's coming over in January to look at something in Brandon. And he has expressed interest in Carberry. He sent me as recently as yesterday a WhatsApp. We're communicating in WhatsApp and email. And he had a bunch of questions and concerns. I reached out to Lori Pakulak. She answered some of them, and I sent him some stuff today too, and he seems quite interested in Carberry. So just to bring everybody up to speed, that's where we're at. We're kind of somewhat in a holding pattern with the recruiting services, because the recruiter we're talking to has, every time you talk to them, they raise the price. So it's a lot of money. If you're going after two doctors, you're looking at $250,000 to $275,000+. So we can do this our own. Everything I'm getting, I'm sharing with the committee, Health Action, the RM, the town. So nobody, it's perfectly transparent. So if anybody wants to see any of the emails, I'll be happy to send them or whatever, but that's where we're at. So things I think are positive when it comes to doctor recruitment on our behalf. So everything I talk to with the doctors and we get back and forth, I do send a copy also to Lori Paculak because ultimately she'll be the one in charge of if there's any incentives given, the remuneration, terms and conditions. I'll be the first to admit, I don't know anything about recruiting doctors when it comes to asking questions, so I still have to include her because that's who's gonna hire them, so. She's been very good, so cross your fingers. Let's hope. So that's where we're at on the doctor situation. The AMM I talked about with, earlier on. Bill and I and Grady and Callie and Kara, along with a whole bunch of other people in the community, attended this Aging in the Community final presentation at the drop-in center today. It was pretty good. I thought they did a good job, Yeah. Basically, they came back in September and had a look at the town, their Winnipeg University students. What does Carberry need for aging in Carberry, and a lot of questions were posed, and then today was the final presentation. I thought they did well. They had a good presentation, they had very good turnout, so we can take some of them suggestions, I guess, that they said and move forward with it, so.
Nothing really surprising, something that we've already been discussing, so.
Yeah, it's common sense, so. I think that's all I've got. So we'll move to Bill Kalanowicz.
Well, I'm glad to see the heat on in the old town shop for the water storage. We had a good Christmas or Santa parade this year. Got lots of positive comments on the Christmas lights. And it's good to see more businesses starting up and there's local businesses when we had a staff Christmas party for RM and town staff. Those local businesses that were quite generous donating towards prize draws, so that was much appreciated.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
Councilor Patterson.
Can you write on your paper for the January joint meeting about firefighters? Once you
Wages.
get Marie's,
Wages,
wage discussion, then we'll get it passed in both councils, maybe in January, we get it moving. And second to that, I went to see the doctor on the 30th November. He told me he didn't want to operate on my ear. He wanted to give me a hearing aid. I said, "Is the hearing aid gonna be as good as a rebuild?" He said, "No, but you've already had your head cut open twice. I don't really want to do it again." Which I said, "I'll tell you what, cut my head open, and if you can't fix the ear, as long as I'm still breathing at the end, I'll be happy." So we came to an agreement that he's gonna do the operation. And so all the paperwork I filled out before is good until February, so he's trying to get me in, so it could be this month, but more likely January, early February.
Yeah.
For the operation, so.
so was it a fair question to ask? Will you need time off or?
I will need, depends when it is, a week maybe,
Oh, okay,
not much.
all right. Keep us in the
They'll tell
loop.
me 2 months, but they told me 2 months for these plates and I've been going around in a week, so.
Get it done.
I never heard or listened to what they tell me, so.
Okay, first bit was the wages for
The fire department,
fire department, now is that all of them or the officers?
no, everybody, the general wage to the whole department.
Okay.
That it?
Yeah.
Okay, Councilor Hudak.
Again, I'll just reiterate the float, well, the whole parade was good, but the public works did what they did with the loader, that was pretty cool, it's the first time I've seen that done. The streetlights, again, reiterating, looks great, also just wanna say condolences to Sylvia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I just like to say that, for her, because, she does lots of hard work and all that, and she's been in the community a long time, so.
Yeah.
One thing is just that, I don't know if it got fixed up or not, but, someone kind of mentioned it to me, and then when I drove by, I kind of paid attention to it, but that McCain's tent, they're on Main Street.
Yeah.
I know it was for the lights, but it's kind of like, the wind's kind of blowing it apart and stuff now, so I don't know if McCain's can. I don't know what the deal is with it, if we can just either get them to fix it, or maybe they take a picture. I think it was for the lights, like when we had that downtown.
Flip the switch.
Flip the switch, so with the wind and stuff and whatever, I just thought with the warm weather coming, instead of it getting destroyed and looking,
Yeah.
blowing down the street or whatever, like, and just see, talk to McCain's and whatever. And then, now it's winter time, so it gives us some time to look at something for the end of Main Street, nothing big, but maybe we can just ask, the guys, the gals, maybe come up with an idea. Cause you know that sign that we got at the end, all the like things are worn out on it, like the support the troop thing is gray and whatever, so I don't know if we can come up with a new idea, or we can repaint it, or whatever, make it look better, just for the summertime, and then maybe trim the trees up a bit, so not all that garbage is collecting underneath them and stuff, like not trim them all the way up, but you know, clean that up a bit, cause we, you know, in the summer we are having lots more, we're trying to get, you know, more stuff on Main Street, so maybe without spending too much cash, maybe we can get the employees involved and people involved and maybe come up with something to clean that up a bit with what we have there now, not nothing big, but like I said, you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The things are all kind of worn out and all that, maybe we can look at doing that, so maybe trim and clean it up at least, you know, around the springtime, and then either remove that sign and think of something new later, or repaint it or something. Since it's winter time now, now's the time to start kind of putting an idea for spring or something for that. So nothing that's gonna cost a lot of money, right, to trim some trees up or some paint, but it'll make it look a little better, maybe, like I said, like. Again, like, we have the support the troops sign there, and the paint's peeling off, it's great, right, so it's kind of, let's get it cleaned up.
Sounds good.
And that's it for me, really.
Before we go on further, I had a couple things I forgot to bring up. One, they're quick things. I've had a couple of people say that the parade was very good, and we get this just about every year. Food for thought, we don't need to make a decision, if any. They still think a parade at night might look nice in the dark with the lights all up, so just throw that out there for next year. I don't know. And I forgot to tell you that I got invited to go down and meet with the base commander, which I did, Shiloh. And he had I can't remember his last name's Leclerc, I forget what his title was. It was a very good meeting. He's a relatively new base commander. He wants to establish and forge relationships. He says Carberry is our second closest neighbor than Brandon. He wants to come out. He's coming out at the February meeting. And he says anything we can do for the town of Carberry. And for instance, like homecoming, where the streets are blocked off, he says if you need something from CFP Shiloh, a display, you know, whatever, set up a tent or whatever, he says we're in. Or if you've got a fair, or if you need anything whatsoever, and I said, perfect, I mean, we're looking forward to it.
For block of road, then.
We get to touch the truck and stuff like that, and, you know, those things like that with the kids, so if they can come bring a lab, and. You know, like I know when I was in the battalion, like this is when we had like a lot of people and. Whatever, but like when there was functions again, like you said, the tent, like, let's say there's something like the fair, we have like a medical spot or something, they'll come and bring the mod tent, set it up, and they'll just leave it there for the weekend, you know, like. So.
He was very willing though, and like he'll speak more to when he comes out in February. And the other thing, the other guy, I forget what his title was, anyways, Mr. Leclerc, I'll call him. We spoke a bit about the Remembrance Day, and for anybody who was there, what a turnout. Wow. And I said that is very much appreciated. This town has a strong military history, not just people living in it, but you know, the former base and all that. He said he heard from his people that it was very good, and he says if it continues to be good, he says just give me a call, and if you need to put it on, the rink will make more happen. So food for thought. So anyways, I just wanted to say that I met with the base commander, he's very positive, and he's willing to work with Carberry on anything we want, so.
I just want, like, one last thing, when speaking on the base commander, if you're in talk with them, if we don't get, like, I know this might be a little bit on top, but we don't get the snow we're supposed to have. They're having a huge exercise out Shaw like this spring.
Yeah.
So we might want to stay on top of that if, you know, with that issue, just, if you're in good talks with them, I just mean it'd be good to get a heads up if
Yeah,
they're doing.
they're
these
having a big
exercises.
open house in Shiloh in August, and he says they're pulling out all the stops, and he says we will include Carberry, we'll send it out there, and he says we'll give tours and everything, so it sounds good. Anyways, that's all I got, so
We have Councillor Downey, Youth Councillor Downey.
All I had was the update on the doctors, but you already clarified with that, so that's all I've got.
Okay, good. Do you have anything, Brady?
Yeah, they're done, really, I don't think so.
Okay. Nothing more, I guess we'll move in camera. We have resolution number 297-23, be it resolved that council move in camera under section 1523B2 of the municipal act to discuss personal matters. 295. Move by.
Bill,
See you later.
Bill,
Mike, I think beat me.
seconded by Mike. All in favor?
Yes, sir.
Opposed, carried.